Good evening, all you patriots out there. This is Patriot American. Today, I am going to be talking about rather current events. It pertains to the state elections here in New York. To be more specific, the governor's race. I am going to be talking about one candidate in particular. His name is Larry Sharpe. Now, from what I've been able to piece together, Mr. Sharpe was born on July 12th, 1968 in Manhattan, New York. As an infant, his biological parents put him up for adoption for reasons I don't know why. He joined the United States Marine Corps straight out of high school, at the age of 17. He first served at the Army's Field Artillery School as a staff member for about a year before he was assigned to the 3rd Battalion of the 12th Marine Regiment, their first field artillery division. About a year later, he was transferred to the headquarters battery of that same regiment in that same battalion. About in 1990 to 91, he was transferred to the Marine Corps Combat Development Command Center at Fort Belvoir. And from 1991 to 93, he was a part of the Massachusetts Pacific Vagabonds, which is a Marine Corps Air Unit, where he served as a topographic intelligence specialist. He was finally honorably discharged in 1993 at the rank of Staff Sergeant. Now, before I actually go on, I would just like to thank Mr. Sharpe for his service, and that being that I plan on enlisting myself next spring, I can say without a doubt that that I am proud to support him. Anyway, he attended the University of Maryland, where he received a bachelor's degree in anthropology. He also worked as an English teacher, at which school I do not know. He is also was the founder of Prime Distribution Trucking Incorporated, which he later sold. In 2004, Sharpe built an online business training company called Neo Sage Group Incorporated, for which he is a managing director to this day. That is actually a very remarkable achievement in my book. Now, for those of you, it's no secret that Mr. Sharpe is part of the Libertarian Party. Now, I know what you're all thinking. Why would a Republican like me support a liberal? Well, let me get to that. I support not just Republicans, but I also support liberals and Democrats who work for the people and don't try to sell us bullshit laws or projects that in the end don't amount to nothing. And number 2, as a Marine Corps, as a MCJROTC alumni from Lindenhurst High School, who by the way actually graduated high school at the same rank as Mr. Sharpe, and someone who who supports our nation's veterans. All of us, we are a part of a brotherhood that will never die. Whether we're not active duty, whether we're a reserve, or we're home on leave, we are a brotherhood. Doesn't matter what kind of political party you're a part of. If you're serving in a military unit, or you're part of a high school program for the high school military program, it doesn't matter what political party you claim. In the end, we're all brothers and sisters who fight side by side. Now let's discuss Mr. Sharpe's political career. As a Libertarian Party activist, Sharpe has outlined a vision to grow the party by encouraging grassroots Libertarian Party campaigns across the country. He served on the Libertarian National Committee as the alternate for Region 8 until his resignation in February of 2018. Because of an internal LNC vote that failed to oust the party's then Vice Chair Arvin Vorha following public controversial comments made by him. Now, for those of you who may not know, Mr. Sharpe was, in a matter of speaking, was in the vice presidential campaign in 2016. He had as the Libertarian vice presidential nominee. During the 2016 Libertarian National Convention, he placed second on the first ballot with 30.4% of the vote. Because no one received a majority on that ballot, a second ballot vote was held. Sharpe received 46.9% of the vote on the second ballot, finishing second to former Massachusetts Governor Bill Weld, who won the party's vice presidential nomination by securing a majority of votes on the second ballot, unfortunately. Now, I didn't find out until about Larry until a friend of mine actually introduced me to his campaign site. And when which is a good thing, because now I support him 100%. In July of last year, he announced his candidacy for governor of New York, making him the first person to mount a challenge to incumbent governor Andrew dipshit Cuomo. He received the Libertarian nomination on April 21st, 2018, and Andrew Hollister was selected as the lieutenant governor nominee for the ticket. Now, I don't know who Mr. Hollister is, but I plan on doing my own research on him in the coming days. Sharpe, he managed to raise nearly $103,000 prior to the first filing deadline, which was second to Governor Cuomo's re-election campaign, which is not surprising because Cuomo he's got the support of the Democratic Party here in New York under Chuck Schumer. Among the goals of the campaign is to surpass 50,000 votes which would give the Libertarian Party of New York automatic ballot access in New York in the state. In 2014, the party's gubernatorial candidate Warren Redlich received 48,359 votes. In 2016, Libertarian presidential nominee Gary Johnson received over 176,000 votes in New York. Pity that didn't beat Hillary Clinton. It's a pity that didn't beat Hillary Clinton. It's a pity that didn't beat Hillary Clinton. Because, well, honestly, it doesn't matter because Donald won in the end. Now on to his political positions. Sharpe supports reducing regulations such as occupational licensing, as well as legalizing marijuana and decriminalizing other drugs. Now, being that I am a criminal justice major who has taken 4 or 5 classes at the state college of Suffolk in Brentwood, I know my fair share of what illegal drugs such as heroin, cocaine, meth, and prescription pills can do to people. Now, it's considered that marijuana and prescription pills are known as gateway drugs. I know that, and almost everybody in the country knows that. But be that as it may, as someone who has to who takes medication for my ADHD that I was diagnosed with at a very young age, over time I learned that I've managed to learn that drugs like marijuana, they're not so bad. So my verdict on the legalization of that is, if you want to do it, go right ahead. Hell, it's it's a lot better than letting drug dealers deal it. Now on to a more high-profile subject. Mr. Sharpe's stance on abortion. He considers himself pro-choice as well as anti-abortion. Though this may be controversial, he has vowed to reduce the number of abortions in New York State by increasing availability for other options. That way, people don't have to immediately kill off the fetus in the womb, which to me is just downright murder. Honestly. Sharpe's views on criminal justice, like I said, he's in favor of the marijuana legalization, calling for hemp and marijuana to be regulated like onions. I don't know what that means, but can't be that bad. Sharpe has also stated that if he is elected governor, he would pardon those convicted of victimless crimes or otherwise nonviolent crimes. Now, I support that stance, but I'm also a believer that of the 3 strikes you're out rule for criminals. Like if you're given a chance, if you were given a multiple chance, like three chances to turn your life around, and in the process of those chances you make considerably very bad decisions that lead to very bad crimes. Well, in my opinion, you need to suffer the consequences like a man. It's the way I was raised. Suffer the consequences. Go through it, and come out strong. It's the way my parents have taught me since I was little, and that's the way I plan on teaching my kid or kids. Mr. Sharpe. Now we're on to Mr. Sharpe's views on education. Sharpe has called for the decentralization of education in New York State and has proposed a K-10 model, reducing the span of high school to ready students for the workforce and/or college. I don't agree with that. Honestly, that sounds like, I think that would just screw up more high school students and not prepare them for the world. Now he has also rejected standardized testing until high school, which is something that is common in nowadays in grades pre-K to 10th. Now, I have been against standardized testing because as a kid, you can't comprehend, as a little kid, you can't comprehend the work that standardized testing gives. I mean, when I was in elementary school, all the work was fairly easy. There wasn't no square root of pi, what is y equal, what is x equal, nothing like that. That was until I got to high school, where things got much harder, but I managed to get through it. Like it should be nowadays. Mr. Sharpe is also a supporter of special needs children. Being the fact that I am considered a special needs student because of my ADHD. Although I am not as far gone as many of my special needs colleagues, as you can tell from the way I speak. Now, Mr. Sharpe's views on gun laws. This will be the last topic we will go through. Mr. Sharpe supports our Second Amendment, supports the right to bear arms, being the fact that he is a Marine, that he is a former Marine. He is an advocate for allowing school teachers and staff to carry firearms on school grounds on a voluntary basis, meaning the teachers can choose not to, or they can choose to learn how to use a gun and defend their students, which is something that the March for Our Lives movement doesn't care, is against. That being said, Larry Sharpe, to me, is the best possible governor candidate this country, this state, has ever seen. I plan on voting for you on November 6th, Mr. Sharpe. One patriot to another. I hope you beat Cuomo's ass. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women in the United States military, our law enforcement officers, to our president, his family, and to all you patriots out there. I'm Uncle Capola, and I'm out.